Hello, everybody. I hope y'all are well. Welcome to SafeSpace TV Book Club. We have been covering Million Dollar Habits by Brian Tracy. I really like this book. I like the fact that it doesn't just talk about saving money. It literally gives you principles on how to become the best version of yourself. And by virtue of doing that, it allows you to do better in every aspect of your life. This book, matter of fact, is not about becoming a millionaire. It's about correlating how you see yourself with being successful. And lucky enough, and then we're going to get, because this is a big chapter. Chapter 2 is a big chapter. But lucky enough, interesting enough, I forgot what I was about to say. All right, let's just get into the chapter. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have my the book link to purchase this book on Amazon, my affiliate link, pinned to the top of the comment on Facebook. It's inside of the video description as well. It is on YouTube as well. All right, let's get into chapter 2. Your self-concept shapes your success. Your self-concept shapes your success. All right. One second here. Let me get through it. One more. There we go. Chapter 2 is called The Master Program of Success. Okay. We're going to start with the quote that's right up under the title. The whole secret of successful life is to find out what is one's destiny to do and then do it. Now, I can't afford to really do too much commentating on this because this is a lot, but that's powerful. The whole secret of successful life is to find out what is one's destiny to do and then to do it. The great question, first paragraph, the great question for success is this: what do you think about most of the time? Why is it that some people think positive, constructive, and success-oriented thoughts, while others think negative, pessimistic thoughts that lead inevitably to underachievement and failure? Many successful people over the years have been asked, what do you think about most of the time? And I would ask you to pause this video for just a second and ask yourself that question. What do I think about most of the time? Their answers are simple and consistent and yet so profound that they can be life-changing. In short, most of the time, successful people think about what they want and how to get that. My word. Now let's skip to page 14, the last sentence in the first chapter. The laws are neutral. Whatever you think and talk about most of the time eventually comes into your life. Whatever you think about most of the time eventually comes into your life. For more than 100 years, psychologists have worked to understand and explain the functioning of the human mind. The last sentence of the second chapter. They all have concluded in one way or another that how your mind is programmed in early childhood plays a decisive role in almost everything you think, feel, and accomplish as an adult. And that's why, as I teach people and train people, I put some of them might even say I'm hard on parents, because how you parent your child literally determines the success of that child. How you develop how that child sees themselves determines the success of that child more than the clothes they wear, the schools they go to, the homes they live in, and the God they serve. All right, let's keep going. Your master program. Let's go to the second chapter in that section. Your self-concept is the master program of your subconscious computer. It acts as your mental operating system. Every thought, feeling, emotion, experience, and decision you have ever had is permanently recorded on this mental hard drive. Once recorded, these impressions then influence the way you think, feel, and behave from this point onward. Hmm. I think I should read that again. Your self concept is the master program of your subconscious computer. It acts as your mental operating system. Every thought, feeling, emotion, experience, and decision you have ever had is permanently recorded on your mental hard drive. Once recorded, these impressions then influence the way you think, feel, and behave from this point onward. Your self concept precedes and predicts your levels of effectiveness in every area of your life. You always act on the outside in a manner consistent with the way you feel and think about yourself on the inside. You act on the outside in a manner that is consistent the way about concerning the way you feel about yourself on the inside. Wow. It makes me go back to parenting, how sometimes we discipline kids for the way they're acting without ever asking them how they feel. Because what this book is saying is your feelings are in alignment, or rather, your actions are in alignment with your feelings. So if you have a child that's always acting out, there is something in them that is in disalignment, or that is not in alignment, rather. So do you immediately discipline them, or do you investigate how they're seeing themselves? Oof. All right. Your self concept explains why the mental laws have such an inordinate effect on your personality. All right. Now, the next section is called the rule of the many self concept. Once your self concept in a particular area is formed, you always act in a manner consistent with it. Once your self concept in a particular area is formed, you act in the manner that is consistent with it. Now we're talking about many self-concept, many, not M-A-N-Y, but M-I-N-I. The rule of the many M-I-N-I self-concept. It turns out you have a mini self-concept for every area of your life that you consider important. Hmm. Hey, just being me. For example, you have a self concept for how creative you are. You have a self concept for how well you speak in public, for your memory, and for your ability to learn new subjects. You have a self concept for how popular you are and how well you get along with other people. You have a self concept for what kind of spouse or partner you are and how desirable or attractive you are to members of the opposite sex. You have a self concept for what kind of parent you are. You have a self concept for how well you perform in each sport or physical activity. You have a self concept for how organized or disorganized you are, how well you manage your time, how productive you are, and how much you get done in every average day, in any average day. You have a self concept for your ability to read, write, and do mathematics. In every area of importance in your life, you have a mini M-I-N-I self concept. And that's important because you can be really confident in one area. Like, let's just say you're confident in public speaking, but you're not confident in dating. You don't mind getting in front of a crowd, but you freeze up on a one-on-one. And your mini concept for public speaking is high, and your mini self-concept for romantic relationships attractiveness is low. Mm. So we have work to do. We literally have to inspect our lives and figure out Where's my level of self-concept in every important area of my life? Wow. All right, let's skip to page 16. First section, your comfort zone. Whatever your self-concept, your habit of thinking about money, whatever your self-concept, your habit of thinking about money or any other area of performance very soon becomes your comfort zone. Your comfort zone then becomes your greatest single obstacle to improved performance. So whatever your self-concept is, your habit of thinking about money or any other idea of area of performance very soon becomes your comfort zone. All right. Your comfort zone then becomes your greatest single obstacle to improved performance. So if I see myself, yes, Cookie, get the book. I got the affiliate link pinned to the top of the comments of YouTube, and it's in the video description box of Facebook and YouTube. So let me explain what this means. So if my self-concept is that I am unattractive, I find a comfort zone in being unattractive, and that comfort zone is my greatest obstacle for improved performance. If my self-concept is that, let's say, I am extremely handsome, where I'm at right now, I'm extremely handsome, and I believe that I'm extremely handsome. I get comfortable in this space, and all of a sudden, now that becomes my greatest obstacle to being even more handsome. So how you perceive yourself or how you conceptualize yourself is your level of comfort that becomes your obstacle for being better. Good Lord. Okay. For example, with regard to money, if your comfort zone is earning $50,000 per year, that is how much you will earn. No matter what happens in the world around you, recessions, depressions, booms, burst, you will eventually stabilize at earning a level of $50,000 per year. You will use all your talents and abilities to get into and maintain that financial comfort zone. If you are accustomed to earning $100,000 per year and you lose your job or move across the country and start over, within a few months, you will be earning $100,000 per year. Once your self-concept income level is permanently programmed into your mental hard drive, your subconscious and superconscious mind will always find a way to achieve that level of income no matter what happens around you. Now, the way I could put that into a phrase that might make sense is that every time I make 20 steps forward, I take 10 steps back. Why? Because I am going to only achieve what I have perceived or conceived about me. What I see about me becomes my comfort zone and my level of expectation. Now, why is that important? Because if I don't have great insight on me, I will always perform at a low level. Lord have mercy. Can we just, okay. Oh, Lord. Can we just take a moment there? We're not going to be able to get through chapter 2, so I'm not even going to try to rush it. Where's my water? I'm not even going to try to rush it, but that deserves a break. So if I want to achieve more, I must break the comfort zone. How do I break the comfort zone? My self-concept. All right, let's keep going. The key to achieving your full potential, increasing your income to vastly higher levels than it is today, and enjoying the very best that is possible for you in every area of your life is for you to raise your self concept in that particular area. Now remember, because we're talking about many self concepts, MINI self concepts. You must develop new habits of thinking about what is possible for you. The way you accomplish vastly more on the outside is by changing your thoughts and feelings about your potential in that area on the inside. Now, what I taught yesterday in my private community sacred space is your feet will go in the direction of your consciousness, which is what this book is saying. How you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you value yourself determines your output. Good Lord. Now, for some people, that's good news. And for other people, it's an awakening is happening in you right now. For those of you guys that know, I am into tarot cards. I pull them a lot for myself and others. And there's a card called the Judgment card. And in some religious institution, when God brings judgment, it's to bring damnation and to tear it down. But in the tarot community, judgment is a spiritual awakening. When you come to yourself, you wake up and realize, hold on, I got to do something different. I need some different results. And what a lot of us need is not more money right now, or more time, or more opportunities. We need to wake up to who we really are and how we see ourselves. All right. Okay. Now let's skip the last paragraph going into leaving page 16 and going to 17, but we're in the section of reprogram yourself for greater success. And we're now your ideal self. Okay. Your self-concept is made up of three areas: your ideal self, your self-esteem, and your oh my God, it just left me. Your self-image. Yeah. Your ideal self, your self-image, and your self-esteem. Okay. And we're going to talk about all those three now. The first part of your self-concept is your self-ideal. This is the ideal image or picture you have of yourself, as if you were already the very best person you could possibly be. Your ideal self, they call it the self-ideal, but I call it ideal self. So even when I read it, my mind, anyway. Your ideal self is made up of your wishes, hopes, dreams, goals, and fantasies about your perfect future, combined with the qualities and virtues you admire most in yourself and in other people. Your self-ideal is a composite of the very best person you could imagine yourself being, living the very best life you could possibly live. So that dream version of you, that vision that you have for yourself, when you are you're just moving at an optimal speed. You are doing the best you can. You treat everybody right, including yourself, and you dot every I, you cross every T. That is your ideal self. It is the sum total of all the goodness you can perceive in you and coming out of you. That's your ideal self. All right. Third paragraph in your ideal self section. Because of the law of attraction, you inevitably move in the direction of becoming that which you most admire. Because of the law of attraction, you inevitably move in the direction of becoming that which you most admire. What have you been admiring lately? Who have you been admiring lately? I teach that when it comes to looking up to people, you just don't connect with somebody, follow somebody, eat off someone's table, be mentored by somebody who have what you want or had what you want. You also want to connect to those people based on how they got what you want. So the outcomes and then their values and principles that created the outcome. And if you've been admiring someone that does not fit your ideal self, believe it or not, you're going to move more in direction of that person or thing than that vision in your head. So the question is, are your surroundings and what you look up to, is that in alignment with your ideal for your life? And if it isn't, please do some alterations, because that is going to get in the way of your growth. The greater the clarity you have about your ideal future life you want to live and the ideal person you want to be, the faster you will move toward becoming that person, and the more opportunities will open up for you to make your ideal future vision a reality. The more clarity you have on what you want, how you want it, and when you want it, the more speed will pick up for you to get it, and the more opportunities will come your way for you to achieve it. So you need a clear vision on what you want the future to be. Lord have mercy. You really need a clear vision on your future. A clear vision. So if you're listening to this right now, or viewing this right now, and you're not clear about the future, please write that down, make a mark, send yourself an audio note, put it in a calendar, a reminder or something. That's step number one to moving your life. All right. All right. Section, develop positive role models, page 17. Yeah, we're not going to get through this today. I'm going to probably do about 8 more minutes, and then we're going to stop, because this was such a heavy chapter, man. In one study conducted some years ago, the researchers found many men and women who accomplished greater things had, when they were young, been avid readers of the biographies and autobiographies of successful people. I'm going to skip a sentence. When you continually immerse your mind in the stories of men and women who have accomplished wonderful things with their lives, you unconsciously identify with those characters and actually absorb their values, virtues, and qualities into your own personality. That's why I always like to look at documentaries on movie stars, people who have accomplished great things, because I always find it's so attractive. I love to hear their stories because I find likeness in their stories. It like motivates me to keep going. All right, let's go to the last chapter of the section, develop positive role models. It turns out that unhappy, unsuccessful men and women tend to be very fuzzy or unclear about their ideals. If you ask them what they consider to be the most valuable and important qualities in human character and personality, they give either vague or contradictory answers. They lack this lack of clarity and certainty about what constitutes an ideal person often causes an individual to go around in circles in life, associate with negative influences, and spend time with people who are equally uncertain about the person they want to be when they grow up. Ugh. Your values shape your personality. The values you choose to live by and the way you define those values shape and influence your personality and your achievements as much or more than any other single factor. Your values you live by and the way you define those values shape and influence your personalities and achievements more than any other single factor. Your values. When you take time to think through and develop absolute clarity about the key values and qualities you admire the most and wish most to incorporate into yourself, you begin to shape and direct your whole personality and determine the results you achieve in the future. In other words, you got the power over your life by simply clarity and definition. what values, how you define them, what values you want to live by, and how you define them. I don't know if y'all enjoy this, but I love this book, man. All right, page 19. As you think about your values and reflect upon how you could incorporate them into your life and behavior, you become a different person. As a result, you attract different people and opportunities into your life. Your outer world soon begins to mirror your inner world. Lord have mercy. You start to move more rapidly toward achieving your most important goals. And your goals begin to move rapidly toward you. It all begins with you taking complete control of the formation and development of your personal self ideal. I'm going to read it again. Where does all this begin? With taking complete control over the formation and development of your personal self ideal. Who knew daydreaming and imagining the best version of yourself was the beginning of becoming it? What a wonderful piece of homework to have. Imagining and daydreaming and thinking and defining the best version of myself, the values that I need and want to become that person. I can do that. I can do that. If you can do that, whether you're whether you're watching the live or the replay, put in the comments, I can do that. I can do that. I can spend 10 to 20 minutes a day sculpting my ideal self. I can spend 10 to 20 minutes a day creating the best version of me and imprinting that image and the values that come with it in my mind, in my memory. Because remember, hey, singing queen, how are you? Remember, every thought and every feeling is imprinted in your memory, in your data, in your central processing unit, and it stays there forever. So every time I take the time to create, imagine, envision my ideal self, I am writing that on the walls of my mind, and it will never be removed. Now, on the opposite side, if I sit there and take 10 to 20 minutes every day and think negative about me, I am writing that on the walls of my mind and never be removed. What I am learning every day, and I'm gonna stop here. We stopped on page 19. We're gonna go to chapter 3 on next Friday. We're gonna keep going. I don't want to get stuck. I really advise y'all to buy this book. This book is amazing. I've read through it before. I've had this book for years, and I decided to read through it again, and I'm glad I did. But and the affiliate link, if you want to support this platform, the affiliate link is pinned in the comments of YouTube and in the video description box of Facebook. But let me say this. What I am getting out of this book is I must spend the rest of my life being intentional about me, being intentional about becoming the best version of me. One of my former mentors and teachers said this statement that has changed my life. Spirituality is not hocus pocus. It is focus, focus, focus. Now, we have deduced spirituality to what God you serve or what's your practice. But what we've been talking about in this book, in my opinion, is real spirituality. Turning the immaterial into material. Being so focused on becoming my ideal self that I manifested in real life. Now, let me say this real quick because I didn't read all of the chapter. You have your ideal self, your self-image, and your self-esteem. All right. I'm going to go through this fast, but it's in chapter 2. Ideal self is the best version of yourself and the values that comprises of that. Defining and being clear of that self. Your self-image is your inner self-mirror, how you see yourself in any given time, how you see yourself when you go into work, how you see yourself as a parent, as a construct in this world. That's your self-image. Your self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. Now, how you lift your self-esteem is doing things to get your self-image as close as possible to your ideal self every day. How can I feel better about myself? Do things every day to get my image as close as possible to my ideal. And the closer your self-image is to your ideal self, it lifts your self-esteem. And the higher your self-esteem, the more output you give, the more successful you are, the more goals you achieve. In other words, you have the power to become successful by being clear on who you are, who you want to be, being clear on who you are, and then making the steps every single day to bring those two together. In chapter 2, one of the ways that you can do that as well is affirmations. The affirmation that they prescribe is, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. Because when you say, I like myself, you are clarifying your self-image. You're making your self-image better. I like myself. Now remember, when I feel better, I do better. When I feel better, I perform better, statistically. So by having a better self-image, I feel better about myself, and then I operate better. I move better. Again, how am I going to develop the habits that bring me success? I got to focus. I got to bear down. I got to bear down and focus. Because one more time. Number one, how do what am I focusing on? My ideals, defining my ideal self. What does the best version of me look like? And remember, what and who you admire influences your ideal self. So be careful of who you admire. Be careful who you watch on TV, who you listen to, who you allow to influence you, because that will influence your ideal self. The first influences of your ideal self were your parents. So if you had great parents, you started off with great influence. Statistics say that if you had great parents or great people that you admired, you were more apt to be successful as an adult if you did it as a child. If you did not have good parents or you did not have people that you admired in your life, you were more apt not to be successful. So parents, remember, how you are parenting your children will determine statistically whether they are successful or not. Now, for those of you who did not have great parents, you have the opportunity to parent yourself. Speak well to yourself, admire yourself, affirm and validate yourself, and create the best version of yourself in your mind and by the people you watch. Ideal self, all right? Then what you do, you take your self-image, your image self, how you see yourself now, the mirror of yourself. All right. Then you observe your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. Now you got all three: self-ideal, self-image, and self-esteem. Then you say, what do I need to do every day to take my self-image and bring it closer to my ideal self? And you do it every day. And the closer you get to your ideal self, the higher your self-esteem. The higher your self-esteem, the more successful you are. Now versus walking in the room, you walk in the room, chest out, head up, because you feel good about yourself. You start attracting more positive things in your life. Why? Because you feel good about yourself. You no longer are able to be abused, misused, manipulated. Why? You feel good about yourself. You don't wake up in the morning, because why? You feel good about yourself. And it's not because of hocus pocus or some anecdote of some ideal that's not easily to obtain. It's literally by every day doing things that bring your self-image closer to that clearly defined ideal of yourself. All right, I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This book is amazing. Now, for those of you guys that know me, I'm honest. Of course, if you use the affiliate link, I'm going to get a piece of what you pay Amazon. So the only way that I can justify my capitalism is to only suggest books that I swear by. And I swear my life on this book. I promise to God, I swear my life on this book. This book, it changed my life in 2021. It is, y'all, I read one section in this book, and it's literally for the last 4 weeks changed how I spend my money. And I'm gonna tell you a little story real quick. When it comes to me and money, there was a time I suffered from a lot of anxiety, so it keep me from dealing with it. I read one section in this book, an idea popped in my mind. I jumped up and created the idea. I moved on it, implemented it. Today, I lie not to y'all. I swear, today, I said, before I get ready for the book club, let me go do my finances. And I found myself, my ex-girlfriend called me while I was working. And while I was talking to her, I said, hold on a second. I said, do you remember you used to have to call me to console me and sit with me while I worked through my finances? She's like, yeah. I said, do you know what I was doing when you called me? She said, what? I said, working on my finances. And I realized, oh my God, I have this anxiousness. Because instead of saying, if you don't do this, you broke. If you don't do this, you poor. This book gives you the principles on how to change how you see it, view it, perceive it, so that your consciousness can come up to it and you naturally do it without thinking. That's what it's supposed to be about. Not just doing it so you can say, I'm successful, so that you can literally change on the inside. So I swear about this book, all right? All right, so do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, and comment as well. Click the affiliate link if you want to purchase the book. If you're interested in the digital version of it, I'll put the affiliate link in the comments in the post live, as well as the video description box. All right. I will be back next Friday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time for Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is, hold on one second. Chapter 3 is becoming a person of value. Good. Becoming a person of value. Now, y'all go ahead and hit your notification bells, because in the coming 4 weeks or less, I'm going to start uploading very thought-provoking pre-recorded videos every Wednesday for you to think about and stretch your thinking in the way you think. All right. So you're going to enjoy this channel. This channel is going to be, when it's all said and done, a channel of growth, empowerment, provoke thought, change the way you see yourself, change the way you treat others, change the way you see God, change the way you see life. This channel is going to be the closest thing to a digital Bible you have when it's all said and done. All right, y'all be blessed. I'll see y'all next Friday at 12 noon.